Hello, class. This is the third version of recorded lectures for section 3.1, which is the measure of central tendencies. And what we're going to do is we are going to talk about measuring central tendencies. Let me get the right screen here, where we have groups of data. And so the book walks through some examples using these calculations by hand, and I'm going to show you how to do them using the spreadsheet. So in the last section, we had a couple sets of data that we used to illustrate how to generate frequency distribution charts. And so I'm going to use that same set of data to show you how to calculate the mean and the median and mode of at least the first data set with regard to that. So if you remember, this was our first data set where we had 35 boys and the ages from 10 to 18 when they stopped growing. And you could see this was our frequency distribution. So if you wanted to calculate the mean, well, one way to do it is to get out your calculator and take and add all these data points together, right? So 12 plus 14 plus 13 plus 14, blah, blah, blah. And then you would get a number and you would divide it by 35. Again, not super horrible, but say like you had 350 data points or 3,500 data points. That's when it starts to become completely unreasonable to start using your calculator to do those calculations. So there is a way to set it up in the spreadsheet with the ability to calculate and doing the arithmetic using the technology. So I'm going to show you that now. So here is the data set that again was just retyped in. And so here is the frequency. And so there was 35 total data points. So how do you calculate the mean? Let's do that one first. So to calculate the mean, the first thing that we want to do is that we want to add up all the numbers. But how do we do that? Well, the best way to do it instead of doing it by hand is to use frequency and multiply it by the data set. So for example, if we did it by hand, and let's just pretend the spreadsheet's our calculator, 10 occurs once, right? So it'd be just 10. Well, 11 occurs twice, so it'd be 11 plus 11. But think about what we're doing. We're taking that and doing it twice, right? So instead of doing 11 and plus 11, we could do 11 times 2. Just like on 12, right? 12 occurs 5 times. So that would be 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, and that would be 60. But we don't need to do that in the old-fashioned way by just typing everything in. We could use this idea of multiplying the data times the frequency to get the exact same answer. So the way that you want to set this up is this column here would be data times the frequency. Whoops. There we go. And so to do that, again, you hit equals and the data times, highlight the frequency. And again, if you want to do this, you could just copy, and paste the formulas, and up comes all those numbers. They're really sweet. So the next step would be to add up this column to get the total. That is exactly the same as if, oh, I don't want to do that. Sorry about that. Let me go back to this one. And so you can see if I add all these up, these 35 data points, that's the same as adding up this whole column. So again, you go up to the functions, and the first one's always sum. And you can see that we had 472 So that's the total, just like if you got your calculator out and added them all up. So what would be the mean? Well, the mean would be this total divided by the total number of data points, which is 35. So you can let the spreadsheet do the arithmetic, 472, and you hit divide 35, and you could see the mean is 13.48, etc. And so just about 14 or 13 and a half years old is where the mean of the data set is. So given this, the mode is the easiest, right? Well, the mode is the data set that occurs most often. And in this case, that would be the 14, because that occurred 5 times. Well, how would you calculate the median? This is a little bit tricky. And this is where the cumulative relative frequency is very helpful. Do you remember when we did that? And I will just refresh your memory and do it again. So when you do that calculation, this ends up being the 0 plus this, which is 1. And then you do the zigzag calculations, right? 1 plus 2 is 3. And 3 plus 5 is 8. And 8 and 7 is 15. 15 and 9 is 24. 24 and 6 is 30. 30 and 3 is 33. And add 1 is 34. And you add 1, this better be 35. So this gives you the last position of each one of the data points. So 10 is the first data point, right? And then 11 is data point 2 and data point 3. 12 is data point 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 13 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Hopefully you get the picture. So in this case, to calculate the median, we have 35 data points, right? So 35 divided by 2 is 17.5. And then if you add 1 to it, it would be data point 18 is the median. And where does that fall into? Well, that would fall into data point in the 14s, right? Because 14 is data point 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So in this case, the median is also 14. Oops. So you can see that all three of these values are very, very close together with regard to that. So you would think that this data is very well defined for all measures of central tendencies. The last